could you start the tape for us?
All set.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Plumbing Piping Work Examining Board meeting of January 22nd, 2026. At this time, I'd like to have the board. We do have a quorum this morning. Thank you for everybody appearing for us today to make that happen. We have a lot of business to attend to. I'd like to see if someone would make a motion to accept the minutes of our meeting of October 23rd, 2025.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Thank you, Peter. Appreciate that. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Policia. At this time, take a vote. All in favor of accepting the minutes of October 23rd, 2025, say aye.
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 Deny? Abstain? So moved. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. All right, so we'll go on to our agenda for today. At this time, Mr. Valeries, the chairman of the electrical board, will be attending our meeting momentarily. I'd like to, with the permission of the board, to move forward to have the Dan Brown and Janita Hamill's documents that were sent to us. Did everybody receive the reports in the last 2 days?
Yes.
Great. At this time, quite a bit of work has gone on here. I'm looking at 28 cases since that have been closed since October. It's a lot of work, Janita.
Thank you, sir.
And really appreciate the statements. It's a little, by the way, it's a little easier for this old man to read the documents now. Nice and clear, and the letters are perfect. I appreciate that. Does anybody, I'm sorry, Janita, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that this is for the 2-month time frame, October 1st, 2025 to December 31st of 2025. That's when the 28 files were closed. There's 7 new that we received. That's not counting anything that was found, for any site inspection. And they were assurances of voluntary compliance, where with forfeiture amounts where $11,250 came in.
Okay, so we got $11,250 come back to the agency. Any of these individuals had to give restitution on top of that to the consumers here at all?
If you look in the resolution notes, it will say that $900 was refunded to the consumer, and then the $330 for damages. So when you look in the resolution notes, and I bring your attention to file number 2025-418, and if you give me a minute, 2025-406. Anytime the inspector is able to convince the respondent that the good faith effort would be to also provide some restitution, it will be noted in the resolution notes. Again, like the assurances of voluntary compliance, the contractor could tell us, forget about it, and they're not going to do it, in which case we would tell the consumer that we attempted, it's voluntary, the department's success depends on the cooperation of all parties, and we inform them in writing that the contractor has made no effort, will not make an effort, and unfortunately, they have to go to court. The department will then still pursue any licensing violations that we find, and that will either result in an assurance of voluntary compliance with the forfeiture, or it will result in a report that goes to legal. And the legal department will then move on to a compliance meeting if they're licensed, as you know. And then if there's no compliance, then it'll be a formal hearing. Or if they're not licensed, legal will just proceed to a formal hearing with the board. So we try. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
That's
So
great, great, Janita. Let me tell you, that's great work by your inspectors to take care of
thank
our
you.
consumers in Connecticut and get some money back to them. Especially the amount of time it took for them to file a report with the agency, you guys to follow up, do the
Mhm.
hard work, so much work. Nobody really understands what you guys really do to get to these final resolutions. And I commend you and your staff. Please let everybody know as well our thoughts, half of your team. Thank you.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I will send an email to the staff. So
Thank you.
if
Does
there's
anybody
no
on the
further,
board? Yeah, I was
sorry.
just gonna check Janita and see if anybody had any further questions instead of me doing all the talking. Does any
I-
board members have any questions
I
for
do have a
Janita?
question. As you find that there are non-licensed people doing the work, what is the protocol for that? Like I noticed, I think there's 3 or 4 that have home improvement licenses that did plumbing work. What is the recourse for that?
They're not licensed, so then they would be found in violation, and they're either going to get an assurance of voluntary compliance, or there will be a report written that will go to legal. And they're educated that you can't do that and that you are in violation.
Okay, does that ever come back to their home improvement license somehow?
That's a registration, and that I'm not sure I'm understanding.
So if I only have the registration and I'm a home improvement person and I'm doing work I'm not supposed to be doing, does it ever refer back to my registration that you would deny my registration as a home improvement contractor if I continuously do the work I'm not supposed to be doing? Or is that
If
out of the realm?
we can notify the home improvement enforcement unit that we found something, and then they would have to investigate that piece of it, and then the legal would determine what, if anything, would happen.
And this is Pamela Brown, Director of Investigations. I also want to let you know that we do have the possibility for a criminal action based on anyone who is unlicensed. So it could be maybe the home improvement contractor. It could be someone who just doesn't have a license at all. That is also a tool that Janita's unit uses as well.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything for Janita or Pam this morning? Okay, having all that squared away. Hey, guys, thanks for attending this morning. I'm glad to get you up here first thing and get you on your way. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Janita.
You're welcome, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Welcome. This time, has Mr. Valeries come on board yet with us? Mr. Mesner?
I
don't
have
see
not
him
seen
on
him
yet.
join yet. No.
Okay, that's fine. Let's, if with all, it's okay with everyone, I'd like to move over to the old business, which would be the Yale geothermal update. Maybe we could review a little of that this morning first thing then. That way, David Moniz and his team can go ahead and move on with their day. They gave us an awful lot of time the other day, which we really appreciated over at Yale, at the campus, with David Valeries, the head over there, which was huge. At this time, Mr. Mesner, is there anything we want to discuss early on with David and his team, the team at Yale?
Yeah, so Yale's here today to present on the next phase of another project, not on the Edward Street project. Am I correct on that, Mr. Mons?
You are, John.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I'll turn it over to Mr. Mons if you want, Mr. Chair.
Please, thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name's Dave Mons. I think most of you know me. I'm outside environmental counsel for the university. And maybe we could start off because this is a slightly different Yale team than the team that you have been dealing with on the Science Hill redevelopment project. Maybe we could just do real quick introductions of the Yale folks.
David,
Christina, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm Christina Kameller. I'm the Associate University Architect here and leading the design team for the Dramatic Arts building that we'll talk about today.
Thank you, Christina. I'd like to make sure that our admin staff, Rachel, has the proper name and spelling for her, because this will all be on the minutes of the meeting that everybody attended from Yale. So I just want to make sure everybody is, we got the right spelling and who's who. So down the road, we can, if we have to look back at these minutes or the agenda, we can. Thank you, Christina.
Okay, sounds good.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So you said, Rachel, if you need any spelling clarification, this probably be the time to do it for the.
Good morning, everyone. My name is, okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Winship. I'm the senior PM for the DAB project here at Yale University for construction. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Sam, you're on mute.
Sam, you're muted.
So I am.
There-
You would
there
think
go.
after 5 years of this, we would get better at it. Good morning, everyone. Sam Olmsted, Senior Director of Utilities and Campus Resiliency at Yale University.
Thank you, Sam.
Abby, after you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Abby Fettis on the civil engineering team with Langen Engineering.
I'm John Kastrinas. I'm a hydrogeologist with Haley and Aldrich, and I'm leading the design of the geothermal bore field for this project.
Great.
Great.
Is that the
Thank-
Yale team? Is that complete with the Yale team?
I believe it is, Christina.
Great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have all the spelling. Everybody looks like everybody's spelling is there, so we're good to go. David, I'll turn it back
Great.
over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll do a real quick introduction, then I'll turn it over to Sam, who will then turn it over to John for the project details. But first, I wanted to thank all the board members who visited the site of the Science Hill campus on Tuesday. I know it was a long trip on a chilly morning, but I hope you found the visit to be worthwhile. We certainly did. So, as John indicated, we're here before you to request certain exemptions from separation distances set forth in subsection 41 of the regulations for the installation of a geothermal system to support the proposed Yale Dramatic Arts building. Can you see my screen by any chance?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So the Dramatic Arts building is going to be built here at the corner of York and Crown Street. That's about a mile southwest of where you were on Tuesday at the Central Science Campus. And the Dramatic Arts building, as you can see, is going to be slightly west of the New Haven Green in a very congested area of downtown New Haven. So the installation is much smaller than that which is being installed at the Central Science Campus, with only 23 boreholes, each of which will be drilled vertically within the building footprint due to the site constraints. Other than that, the system is substantially similar to that being installed at the Science Hill campus. And as John mentioned, as detailed in our exemption request, given the site constraints, it simply won't be possible for Yale to locate 21 of the 23 boreholes and distribution lines at a distance of more than 10 feet from building utility lines and several below ground tanks. So we're before you to request an exemption from certain separation distances. Significantly, the exemptions are virtually identical to those approved by the board back in April of 2024 in connection with the redevelopment of the Science Hill campus. So with that, I'll turn it over to Sam, who can give you a brief overview of Yale's decarbonization initiative. And
If you could share your screen now.
Awesome. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. And Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I appreciate your time this morning and thank you for having us. It's good to see many of you again. And this is very similar to what we presented on the Upper Science Hill project. So I'll try to be brief. But as a reminder, the university maintains an extensive heating and cooling system throughout downtown New Haven, serving our, couple hundred buildings and millions of square feet of campus. Our department is charged with operating that system. As part of the university's commitment to sustainability, our goal is to be fossil fuel free by the year 2050. A critical component of that is the electrification of our heating and cooling systems, which constitutes in large part a move away from steam. We think obviously, one of the primary benefits is the move away from fossil fuels. We also think it's more energy efficient. It's actually, it's safer for our staff as well in terms of our operations and maintenance. And so there's just a lot of good around that work as we move towards that goal. I don't know if anybody else's screen looks a little crazy.
No, I'm having some difficulties here. I'm sorry.
Okay. What you were looking at was a chart of where we are at with our greenhouse gas emissions right now and where we're trying to be in 2050. This project is a critical element of that. In fact, geothermal.
Sam, could you hold a second?
Of
On
course.
my screen, I actually see the agenda for today's meeting. Could you click that out, possibly that piece, because then there's the plan behind it that you're having us try to look at, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
All right. I think
Yeah, I'm
Christina's
sorry.
got us
Hang
here.
on.
It's okay. Take your time.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
It's all right. See if we can fix it.
John, we give you one job to do.
And it's such a simple one. But I
Hey,
inadvertently,
after what I saw the other day, I give you guys all the credit in the world. If this is the only thing that could go wrong, believe me, this is nothing.
inadvertently closed the thing and now I can't get it back. All right, so
Sorry.
now I'm close here.
Okay.
How about now?
Well, I still have page one, I believe. Is that page one still? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, there. Okay. Here we
All
go.
right. So here's.
Yeah, I have
all
it.
right.
If you can see my
Yeah,
screen.
thank you,
I think
Christina.
I've
Yeah, I
shared
think
it
this
now.
is
Okay.
definitely what I was planning to speak to. So I think we're good. So,
Okay.
as I mentioned, our goal is to be fossil fuel free and a zero carbon campus by 2050. There's big pieces of that, right? We're going to improve the energy efficiency of our buildings. We know New England's grid is getting cleaner. We have a number of projects to generate electricity renewably on campus, largely photovoltaic. And then the reason we're here today is the movement away from fossil fuels and towards electrified heating and cooling. As I mentioned, in addition to the sustainability benefits, there's a lot of efficiency and safety benefits for our staff that go with that move. So we're really excited about it as a department overall. The primary reason we have focused on geothermal is it's really the only technology that we can deploy at the scale that matches our energy use here on campus, given today's technology. You saw that, extensively on the Science Hill site. This is a smaller but still critical project as we sort of move towards that fossil fuel free, low temperature hot water future. So, we're happy to certainly answer any questions about the goals of the project, but just to kind of frame why we think this is important to the university, but also, to contributing towards the state's goals in the same direction and, really improving the overall built environment for everybody in New Haven.
Thank you,
So
Sam.
Sam, are you seeing the guiding strategies at this point?
Yes.
Okay, good.
All right, so I'm going to turn it over to John, who can give you all the nitty gritty on the project here.
All right, thank you. So just to get you oriented again, this is downtown New Haven, as David mentioned, bounded by, we're in an area that's bounded by Chapel Street, York Street, Crown Street, and Park Street, as you see in this image. And the Dramatic Arts Building is outlined in the black dashed lines here, if you can see my cursor. And the blue shading represents the building footprint itself. There really isn't much in the way of open area outside of the building to work with, particularly in light of some of the stormwater infiltration infrastructure that's planned. So the boreholes, or the bore field, as we call it, is exclusively within the building footprint. And just in profile, we have 23 borehole exchangers planned to a depth of about 800 feet, similar to what's being done at Science Hill. The 800 feet, people may wonder where the depths come from. It's a bit of a trade-off. You obviously get better thermal exchange, increased thermal exchange, the deeper you go, but it comes at the expense of head loss and pressure demands on the pumps that are doing the work. And there's also significant cost premiums and added risks when we drill to 1,000 feet and beyond. So 800 feet has evolved as something of a sweet spot for the industry, and you'll see a lot of bore fields advance to this depth.
John, do you have a test hole in that spot yet, compared like you guys did over? On the
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So
data come out on that? Like, I know we had wonderful data, we were told the other day on the other facility. How was your data compared to that location?
I think it was comparable. It's a fairly narrow range. The thermal conductivity, which is the most important variable, it's a fairly narrow range to begin with across rock types. And then when you get into a single rock type like the New Haven Formation, it gets even narrower. So, but generally speaking, it's favorable, not only from the thermal properties, but the fact that the drilling is much easier than other areas of New England. The rocks aren't as hard. They're not prone to collapse, generally speaking. So those are some of the real important intangibles, you might say, that we get out of a pilot test.
Great, thank you for that.
Sure. So this just shows schematically how it works. Similar to the Science Hill project, this is a closed loop system, right? So these aren't open wells. We don't have submersible pumps in the boreholes. The boreholes are essentially drilled. You install the loop piping, you grout it, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. And then all of the welds, both with the vertical components and the lateral piping, are heat welded, right? We're not working with barbed fittings and hose clamps. They're all thermal welds between the bore field and the mechanical room. And then it's the centrifugal pumps in the mechanical room that are doing the work of driving the fluids through the bore field and through the heat pump, which raises the temperature to give us usable temperatures for the building's HVAC system. All right, so this, a lot of details here, I know, but this just shows what the borehole exchangers look like from a plan view and profile view. One difference from the Science Hill project, we are going with twin loops on this project. It's, as the name implies, we're essentially doubling the amount of piping that goes down the boreholes. You can think of it as two loops or U-bends that are connected to one another at the bottom. So it's a little bit more complicated in terms of the fittings. It can be a little bit of a challenge to get the pipe down the borehole, but it does give us added thermal exchange. It doesn't double the thermal exchange of a single U-bend, but it does give us another 20% or so. And we're trying to get as much thermal exchange out of this limited borehole footprint as we can.
What's your
And-
diameter on that one, John? Because I know we had talked up on the other facility, it's a 7-inch casing that you guys went down about 45 feet. I believe that was a close number, I believe. What's your diameter of this casing that will be grouted with the twins down there?
Yeah, it kind of remains to be seen. And the reason why I say that is we're the construction manager is working with 3 bids that have slightly really different approaches. And in one case, the steel casing may be actually pulled, which is advantageous. You know, if you're drilling first and then doing the excavation, it gets a lot of the material out of the way of the other trades. So that's one option we're weighing. But the casing, whether it's temporary or permanent, is either going to be somewhere between 6 inches and 8 inches. And then the borehole, we've got on this detail minimum 7.5 inch. That's probably what the borehole will be. However, one contractor is looking for approval for a smaller borehole. They're confident that they can get the quad loops down a smaller borehole. And the smaller the borehole, provided you can get the pipes in, the better it is for thermal exchange because it improves the contact with the borehole sidewalls.
Thank you.
Okay. And then this is a trench detail, hard to see, but we've spelled this out in the letter. We do have foam insulation between our geothermal piping and the other utilities. That's good practice, but it's also a requirement of IGSHPA, the International Ground Source Heat Pump Association, that wherever you fall within sanitary water drain lines within 5 feet, they recommend the installation of insulation, again, just to prevent any thermal interference between our geothermal piping and the other utilities. So this is just a layout of the bore field. The bore holes are in blue, labeled the GT designations. The pipes, the supply and return pipes, circulating fluids within the bore field are in blue as well. And then we have sanitary lines in green and drainage piping in pink. And then in terms of the foundation elements, they're shown in gray here. These are their footings, which is appropriate for this building, and it's cost effective compared to deep foundations, but it does take up a lot of this footprint, leaving us fairly narrow corridors to route our geothermal piping. Here's the same image, and then we've superimposed in this red shading areas that essentially bracket the 10-foot buffer that DCP requires around these utility lines. So you can see that we basically have 2 boreholes that fall in the white areas that are outside of that buffer zone. One's kind of on the border, GT16. But suffice it to say, we essentially have 21 of our 23 boreholes that fall within that 10-foot buffer. We also have, so in the letter, David's detailed the exclusions we're requesting. So one is the 10-foot setback from the other utilities. The other is the 25-foot setback from tanks containing non-hazardous materials. So there are 3 tanks here, here, and here that, again, all fall certainly within 25 feet of our geothermal lines. And then the small circles in yellow, essentially, they're denoting crossings between our geothermal piping and the other utilities. So what we've done to avoid conflicts, given we've got not only constraints laterally, but we're dealing with a fairly limited vertical section between the bottom of the footings and the slab. So working with not only the foundation elements, well, it probably goes without saying, but we're not routing any pipes, geothermal piping, or other utilities beneath the footings, right? We want undisturbed soils beneath the footings. The construction manager, I think for good reason, has asked not to have any piping above the footings. So as this image shows, we're really dealing with these corridors between the footings, which in some cases can be quite narrow. But these are images from a three-dimensional model called Revit that the design team has been using to resolve these conflicts. So it's a great tool, but every time a foundation changes or a utility line changes, the design team has to get together and sometimes change the alignments to avoid any conflicts that might arise out of those changes.
And John, with that said, are you going to be doing any angle borings here? Or this looks pretty well vertical to me in these pieces here. So like on the other building, we had some degree of angle, which
right
went up the footing, but kept 10 feet, I believe, David, if I'm not wrong, was it 10 feet away from the building? And then when the borehole, directional borehole went down, it definitely missed the footing of the building clearly. So this will be all, vertical, straight.
These will be all verticals. So especially when you get inside a building, it gets increasingly complicated to make those angles. As you mentioned, we don't want to put them under footings, ideally.
Right.
And this isn't like a fracking in the oil and gas industry where they can drill down vertically and then drill horizontally to access the resource. With the geothermal incline bores, you basically have to start at an angle and keep that angle throughout the duration. So when you're trying to work around foundations and other obstructions, that makes it very difficult.
Yeah, the other thing I would just add is we're very close to city streets here. So for the Science Hill project, we had more room to horizontal or to drill on an angle without the bores leaving the property at depth. This site is more severely constrained. So if we were to put angled wells in, we might well cross over the property lines.
That's
we wanted
true.
to avoid that.
Okay, I think I've got one more slide here. So I think, again, we mentioned in the letter, similar to Science Hill, these will be grouted boreholes. The vast majority of geothermal closed loop boreholes are grouted. It achieves a couple of objectives. One is the thermal conductivity of this material is much greater than water. So it definitely improves the thermal exchange between our bore field piping and the subsurface. And then the second thing it does is, in the unlikely event of a release of fluids, this has very low permeability, 1 × 10⁻⁷ centimeters per second or lower. So that really limits or prevents the discharge of those fluids into the subsurface. So that was more of a concern early, let's say in the early 2000s, when it was common to use ethylene glycol, which has some toxicity to it. So it's superior for its thermal performance to propylene glycol, but for the most part, at least in the Northeast, the industry has evolved to propylene glycol, which is a food grade product. And again, they use it in ice cream, literally. So we'll be circulating a mixture of water and 30% glycol for the thermal exchange. It's advantageous insofar as it lowers the freezing point, obviously, of the fluids, and allows us to get more heating out of the system than if we were to use water alone. So yeah, happy to try and answer any more questions you might have.
Any further questions for John? Board
I've
members?
got, excuse me, I got one quick question. What is
Sure.
your anticipated separating distance for the boreholes?
Between the boreholes, we're at least 25 feet. And we like that separation for systems of 800 feet or deeper because the boreholes are not perfectly straight. They do deviate. And on an 800 foot,
Of course.
right, an
Yeah,
800 foot borehole, that can be quite a bit of deviation. So we're trying to reduce the likelihood of borehole collisions. It might sound improbable, but it does happen.
It's quite common. And
Okay.
what do you anticipate your I'm just looking at the protective radius around these wells into the street from the curb line. What do you think you are from the curb of the road to your closest row of boreholes?
To the closest row of boreholes. That is not something we've looked at, but it looks to me like about 15 to 20 feet.
Okay.
If you look at this line, we've got a 20-foot scale here. Similar here. To me, that looks like around 15 to 20 feet.
And you control how much of that protective area around the wells towards the road? How far is the property line? Do you know?
It's very close to, is this the property? No, it's very close to these outer, this is the perimeter drainage, which really hugs that property
About
line.
where my cursor is right here, John.
Okay.
So the building face is set back from the utility lines about 17 feet. So
17
that
feet,
first
okay.
borehole is going to be about 20, 25 feet from the curb.
Good, thank you, Christina.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Other board members? Okay, thank you, John.
You're very welcome.
David, who's your next speaker?
Excuse me, Mr.
Do you
Chairman?
have another, do you have another speaker after John?
No, I would just say, thank you for listening to the presentation, and the board in approving the exemption request for the Science Hill campus included two conditions in the approval. One was for the university to communicate to the board any material deviations from the approval if they arose, and also to provide quarterly status reports once the installation began. And we're hopeful that, subject to the similar conditions, that the board will approve this exemption request.
Great, thank you. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? I know we have Abby out there, Michael. Does anybody else have anything to add to and Christina to the meeting at this time?
I think we've covered it here.
Thank you. I want to thank you, David, for the visit on Tuesday. That was awesome. Thank David Valories for his time, and with the team, the contractors that were on site, and the general contractors as well, for taking half of your day with your whole team to go over everything with us on site. I appreciate the pre-meeting in the room and then the actual tour of the facility and making sure that we were all safe with PE gear that morning. That was great of you to take care of that as well. That went a long way. We really understood, got a lot out of that. Does any other board members that were on that trip want to add anything to our visit on Tuesday to David and the team?
Just to reiterate what you said, Chuck, we appreciate the opportunity to go up and take a look. And when you get into doing some more vault work, I'd really like to come and take a peek again.
Sure, we can arrange that, Aaron.
Yeah,
It's our pleasure.
Love to see that.
You
It was
know-
also interesting to our other board members that couldn't be there to understand that Yale is taking a longer, extended, in other words, they're not just using piping systems that's going to be good for 40 to 75 years. The materials that they're using are to extend much longer into the 100-year range. So instead of using HDPE pipe, I think David Valeries explained that they're using Schedule 40 steel pipe in certain welds that obviously Jay Moore had asked some questions on as well, and was satisfied with those answers. Just everybody know that you guys are really going over and beyond the specifications of what was used in a normal application. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thanks again, Dave, appreciate for having us there and stuff. And
Thanks for making the trip on a chilly morning.
And the pizza wasn't too bad either, by the way.
Did you stop on your way out?
Absolutely. We hit modern pizza.
Good choice.
Good choice.
I had to get a t-shirt as a souvenir too, a long sleeve.
Sounds good.
Thank you. All right. If there's anything else you guys have at any time, feel free to give us a call. We have to Rochelle or John Mesner, our director, and we can always set up another meeting, Zoom meeting. I can call an emergency Zoom meeting if anything falls into role, so we can move whatever you've got for a project going on, because believe me, we know it's a tight spot. I've never seen anything like this before. You guys really had to go out of your way to be able to extract that water and to be able to filter it through so many different levels. That's an incredible project that was done up on Science Hill. That was incredible for you guys to pull that off and to continue to do that. So again, I applaud all the engineers and the Yale staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else
Thanks,
for
man.
the Yale team? Otherwise, we will.
I think we're good, and just appreciate the time that you guys gave us this morning to walk you through this project. And we're looking forward to getting started on it. It's coming down the road.
Great.
Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman,
Yes.
do you anticipate voting on the request today?
We could. Aaron, do you want to discuss anything in regards to the setback there? We following the same motion that we made 2 years ago this January when we approved it the last time?
Aaron, I think you're on mute.
That whole mute thing, it's complicated. No, I don't see anything terribly, to me, nothing's terribly different.
I agree. Can we get a motion for Yale to move forward with the project as presented?
Like to make a motion for Yale to move forward with the project as presented.
second. I'd like to second
We
that
got a
motion.
second from Jay Moore. Okay, thank you, Jay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Deny? Abstain? So moved. Congratulations, everybody. Good work. Keep it up. Make us proud.
Thank
Thank
you.
We
so
will do
much.
our best. Thank you. We view
Thank
you
you.
as our partner.
Thank you.
And from what I understand, Mr. Chairman, you don't need, this is a slightly different group from the Science Hill team, and that you did not need us to present the quarterly status report that we submitted, that you were just going to take that on the papers.
Yeah, if something comes up, I mean, I don't know how the board members feel. Aaron is our well driller of record. What's your take on that, Aaron? Would you like to see continued reports quarterly or, twice a year type of thing? How far out are you now, David, on the project for to take the foundation, start the foundation?
Yeah, so I think they've got over 200, and Sam may know this, I think they've got over 250, maybe even 270 of the 302 approved bores in. And as we talked about the other morning, I think Yale is deciding this week whether or not to install the additional bores up in the northeastern corner of the site. Barring that, I think most of the drilling is done. Sam, can you add any color to that?
Yeah, that's correct, Dave. So I believe there's some hitches in the schedule. I think they're planning to be fully wrapped up with the current scope of drilling sometime in the late spring. So certainly by the close of the second quarter of this year.
Correct, Science Hill?
Yeah, that's Science Hill, right. And we are exploring an additional 39 bores at the northeast corner of the site that we think have some potential advantages for the university. No decision's been made there yet. If those are executed, it will be not as part of a continuous program of construction because of the logistics. It'll be, I think, sometime next year. So, and those will have to be evaluated for all these same conflicts. And if they exist, we'll bring those back to the board for your consideration. Obviously, we really, I'll reiterate what Dave said. We appreciate your partnership on these projects a great deal. It's been really helpful to us as we work to achieve our goals, and we're really excited about these projects. So that's kind of the current status there. And as I said, if we do proceed with those additional bores, then there are similar issues to the original project and this project, we'll be back here to let you guys know about that and kind of seek your guidance. So that's kind of
so instead of David doing the quarterly, why don't let's have a meeting next year at this time in our January board meeting or whatever that date is. I'm not sure if we have that set yet, but that's okay. It gives you a year because you guys are still in the bidding process. So you've still got to come up with the final plan for that and get going on it. So I think a year would be fair if that's okay with you. Does my board feel the same way? Is that okay, everybody?
Chuck, I'd just like to add, it is, some sort of report is nice for us to look back upon. And the question has been brought up to me by other people in this industry about how the Yale project came about to be approved. And I would like to see that there's some continuity, that we have something to fall back on should someone else come forward with a project similar to this, and we want to ask them to give us quarterly reports. I'd like to have something for us. Do they have to be quarterly? Not necessarily, but I would like something, giving your status and how's it, how's it progressing and how it. I've liked the reports. I think it's been nice for us to review. But anyway, what do you think, Chuck?
Let's do it every 6 months then.
Okay, I think that's quite fair.
Thank you. Is that okay, Aaron?
Sounds good. Just something.
Yeah, it's a lot of work on Yale to do this. They're really, as we learned the other day, the amount of work and engineering, is it civil, everything, to locate everything is tremendous. They really want to know where everything is. They're really going out of their way, and I'm sure they'll do it in the same fashion with this new project as well. Learned a lot, right? Learned a lot, and learned from and move forward with those findings. So yeah, let's do it every 6 months. That's fair to everybody on the board.
Sounds good to me.
Chuck, I agree with this 6 months, but I do agree that the reports are necessary because, as Aaron stated, if someone else comes forth with this project, you know, they
Yeah.
need to be held to the same standard that Yale has been held to, right? And doing all the proper research and stuff. So this would be great data to put down in front of someone if they were going to move forward with a project of this magnitude.
Yep. So I think you have a July board meeting. If that's correct, we'll shoot for that to be our next reporting deadline. Is that acceptable?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Thank you. All right, I don't see any other board members having any questions. Thank you, team, from Yale. Keep it up. And if you guys ever need anything, we're here for you at any time.
Thank you all very much for
Thank
your
you so
time.
much.
Yeah, thank you for your time this morning, everyone.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you.
take care.
Bye-bye now.
Hold on.
Okay. Let's move forward. We have Larry Balleries in the room, I believe. I thought I saw Larry a minute ago.
He's there.
Is he there? Okay. Larry, good morning.
He's muted.
I had to unmute myself. Sorry. Good morning.
Hey,
Good
Larry.
morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was asked to join your meeting today relative to the Public Act 25-47, which is the new hiring ratio law. I believe you've seen the act already, read it, and have seen some of the application requirements and what have you. So I can tell you this, that the electrical board has approved the packet unanimously, and so has the heating board about just a week or so ago at their meeting. And come February 1st, it's incumbent on us in the department, to come up with a proposal that we can live with for the situation when people are looking for more than 7 apprentices, okay? Up to 7, it's automatic, subject to some look back at whether they've had any labor department or DCP violations over the previous 3 years. So, John, do you want to hop in on this as well? I don't know if you want
Yeah,
to.
sure. Good morning. And just for clarity, Mr. Valeries had stated 7. It was up to 8. I just
8,
want to
I'm
clarify
sorry.
that
Right.
just for the recording. It's all right. You're allowed to make one mistake, so that's it. So,
I
thank
made
you.
more than that. I made more than that.
So again, good morning, everybody. Larry and all the board chairs, Mr. Appleby, Mr. Barrio, Mr. Waskowitz have worked diligently. Larry really taken the helm at this to work with the electrical board to put together a lot of documentation to kind of summarize what was, and Rochelle, it was sent over, correct?
Yes, but
Okay,
I can,
thank you.
I'm gonna share it too, so just let me know what you want me to put up on the screen.
All right, so I'm just going to quickly kind of go through what the boards were tasked with in Section 2 of 2547 was to put together a policy. The policy is essentially establishing good cause for the ask of over 8 apprentices, and through the recommendations of the board chair meetings, the board approved application upon the electrical board and the heating board approving such has been revised. So now when a company goes on and they're looking for a greater number than 8 apprentices, they need to go through and complete an application. So that application is currently live because as of right now, we are accepting applications for the electrical board and the heating cooling board. It is the employer / sponsor's responsibility, excuse me, to substantiate the good cause within that application. In addition to supplying the documentation as outlined within Section 2, of the act, which includes attempting to hire from the technical high school system. The board approved policy asks that communication be supplied, substantiating that there was an attempt to hire out of the technical high school system. In addition to the fact that there was no disciplinary issues with, and it's only wage and workplace for the Department of Labor and any issues with the Department of Consumer Protection. So that's the information essentially that would be supplied within the application when they go through and fill out the app. The one piece that would be a carryover piece is an Excel spreadsheet. And Rochelle, if you want to go ahead and share this. So this spreadsheet is going to be, it's already available on our website. Instead of having each employer and or each sponsor have to go through and supply us with a list of individuals, licensees, and or apprentices, to make it a more streamlined and a better format for the boards to read, this document, and thank you, Rochelle, for taking Larry's template and modifying it a little bit. Hopefully the employers can go in, they could do this document one time. They could identify the name of their licensee, the license type, license number. That number is going to be used to establish how many current licensees that the company has, and the key piece being for daily and direct supervision. So we're not looking for the number of licensees for the individuals to say, I have 40 licensees, I want 40 apprentices. It's how many of these licensees are going to be available for daily and direct supervision of the apprentices that they're seeking, in addition to the number of apprentices that they currently have and whereabouts they fall. Are they a first year, second, third, fourth, potentially fifth year? This information obviously will be heavily utilized by the board reviewing the application, because if you have a company with several fourth year apprentices, how long is the term that you're going to approve for? And ideally, if this isn't a one-time trip to the board and they can never come again. If they have a need today for 3 apprentices and they put the 3 in and that's automatically approved because it's under 8, and for some reason they now have a larger need, but their total number of apprentices is greater than 8, then they would now complete this document, submit it again with the application. And this information can now be utilized. And again, the board could weigh out, the number based upon the number of licensees they have and how many they're seeking. Now, obviously, if they need to come back again, some of those 4th year apprentices may now have licenses. So ideally with this template, the employer or the sponsor can now modify the document so they don't have to recreate this every time. So that was the thought concept behind that. And that's really the 2 big pieces to substantiate the good cause here. And Larry, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that's the 2 big pieces.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right.
I don't know if anybody has any questions for me quickly. I'll turn it back over to Larry.
Yeah, John, I just got a couple quick. So
Yeah.
doesn't it revert back to the ratio after the 8, right? Unless they reapply, correct? It reverts back to the 3-to-1 hiring rule.
So if there's
After the initial
if there's
8.
so if they're approved, then they have, if they ask for let me rephrase. So if they don't have to apply, obviously, if there's no need. I just want to clarify that part first. So if you could comply with the statute the way that it's outlined, then there's no need to obviously put in for the ratio relief. I'm just stating that for anybody else that's in the room besides the board members. I think we're all on the same page with that one. If the need has to exceed greater than what the statute allows, up to 8, they could apply. And once they apply, there was no expiration included within the act. So if they apply for up to 8 and there's a number that's given, that number is there, and the Department of Labor should be monitoring such to ensure the fact that the number of licensees never changes. Because again, it's not meant to circumvent the job site requirement of 1-to-1. So when the Department of Labor goes out and they meet with the companies, they should still be ensuring the fact that the number of licensees exist to support the number of apprenticeship spots they have based on the number that was requested in that relief package, if greater than the statute. For the individuals that are applying with more than 8 apprentices, so if your total number is already 8, then you have to apply for obviously more, which then triggers it to come before the board. Part of the substantiating the good cause, and obviously with the documentation that's required, there is going to be the potential for the board to approve a expiration date. And again, that's going to have to be reviewed within the board package and the material that's applied. So obviously, if you have 3 fourth-year apprentices, your number is going to change. Those licensees, if you have retention, those apprentices, if you have retention, should become licensees, which changes your numbers. So do you still have that need? So where there is no expiration identified within the law, part of what was discussed with the board chairs was putting in an expiration so that the numbers that are essentially granted through the racial relief package of the ask more than 8 coming before the board has an expiration, which will be communicated from the Department of Consumer Protection to the Department of Labor. So the Department of Labor knows when those spots expire. Additionally, one of the questions within the application, are you able to fulfill this need within 45 days? So the thought concept on that is if the company's coming before the board, the company should be ready to hire. This shouldn't be, I'm looking for these open spots just in case. They should have an immediate need for this. And with such, there was a expiration of 45 days that if that spot's not filled within 45 days, that spot goes away. The company could always come back and apply for that spot again. There's no end to how many times the company could come before the board with the additional request, but the concept is not to just leave open spots for companies to have and just kind of have at will, essentially. I don't know if that answers your question, Jay.
Yeah, we're on the same page. The also thing, I saw the application and stuff. Now the mechanism to, if they had applied for racial relief and utilized apprentices through the relief program, but then let those apprentices go, aren't they supposed to re-offer a hiring back to the apprentices that they let go in the original in the original request for a relief? Aren't they supposed to offer those positions back without going to the outside to hire again?
Yes.
They should have first grab at it, and that's going to be a question that would be asked. The board chairs kind of comprised a transcript so that there's just consistency in the questions that are asked, and that is one of the questions that would be asked. Did you attempt to hire any previously, dismissed apprentices if that does apply to them?
Right, because I think that's very important here to see, and I know Larry will probably agree with me on this, to make sure that the contractors are not just utilizing them for a short duration and then sending them back to not being apprentices again, and then applying for more, and then just continually to repeat the same process over and over and over when we haven't fixed a problem that's a problem, right? So I think it's imperative that we make sure that these contractors that apply for this utilize apprentices and keep them and retain them before we go ahead and give them more apprentices to replenish apprentices that they let go. If that makes sense to anyone, what I'm saying.
Yep. And Rochelle's actually sharing the transcript right now too.
Yep.
Just so you guys could see. And this could be modified also. This is just a recommendation.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Melissa. I saw you just waiting for Jay to finish. Yep.
Jay, are you done?
I am, Melissa. I'm done. I could go on
Well,
and on.
I don't want to step on your toes.
You know me all well. I could go on and on and on, but I'm all set at the moment.
If I can interrupt for a minute while Jay's still on his thought process. Jay, you should probably recall when a contractor terminates an apprentice for whatever reason, okay? There's a form that needs to be filed with the Department of Labor indicating what those reasons were.
Yep.
And required that they confirm that they have done that, and as indicated in this voluntary script, we also have them say it on record that they have reached out to the last out, first in type scenario, that they are, they've tried to rehire this apprentice. And if the apprentice is working somewhere else, okay, that's acceptable, I guess. Well, I don't accept, it is acceptable. By the same token, if the apprentice was terminated for, let's say, just cause, not unemployment, okay? That would be just cause. But we want to make sure that the apprentices that are in the overall system that might get laid off get their first opportunity to come back before we hire another person.
Yeah, that's all, Larry. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we just need to, if we're gonna grow industries, right, we need to keep these apprentices within the industry, not just temporary labor, right? That's not,
Exactly.
that's not the purpose of this program. The purpose of the program is to grow the industry for the claim of the demand of lack of apprentices, right?
Right, and the other thing we try to put in here to help control some of this, I'm gonna say, is on that racial relief spreadsheet that you saw a minute ago. We say, do not include any subcontracted labor, part-time labor, or temporarily loaned labor for your licenses. Because we all know that there's that temporary loan scenario out there that's.
Well, that was one of my, so if you're utilizing the temp agency for your labor, you can't utilize those licenses on your job for a
Absolutely
one-to-one
not.
number, because they are not employed by the contractor, they're employed by the temporary labor agency. And they would not
Absolutely.
constitute allowing that contractor to increase his number for not having licensees under him. Are you in agreement
Absolutely.
with me, Larry?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's the exact reason why we put it in
Yeah, I know, I sat in the room, I know.
there.
Great job, Larry.
Okay. Sorry, Melissa.
Sorry, Melissa,
No,
go ahead.
that's fine. I agree with all this in theory. I just am looking at it from an employer standpoint. And so, say in the past year I've hired, and I know I'm not licensed yet, carpentry's not licensed yet, but it probably will be at some point. So I've hired 5 apprentices. I still have 1. So I'm glad you just said that, Larry, because if they're let go for just cause, I don't want to have to ask them back. We're just talking about layoffs for lack of work, I agree with that. But are you going to put more on employers to have to justify, one kid went to jail for 2 months, or they just don't want to work and I've let them go because they don't want to work. So there is the reality of that.
My
We have
feeling
a
is
generation. I just don't want to put more on the employer. If we want people, we want the right people. But if they're let go because they don't show up, they don't work, they're on their phone all the time, they don't really want to learn, they're giving lip to the foreman and giving a lot of attitude, I'm not asking them back.
Well, Melissa, I think in that case, that's gonna fall on the contractor when they do their separation papers
Yeah,
to put that down as the reason for separation. If they just put down lack of work, and give the person a layoff slip and move on, then that's on the contractor, right? They didn't tell the truth.
So the contractors need to know that, because a
Well,
lot of times
that's-
people just say lack of work because they don't want the
Understood.
guy. So that's gonna have to
Understood.
be very clear.
It's clear in the documents when they apply that's, I believe, to my understanding, it's clear in those documents that they
Yeah,
need
and-
to offer back that position, and it's contingent on exactly what Larry said, that it would be contingent on the reason for separation the first time. So when
So
they
do you
make those
provide-
separation papers.
As an employer, Jay, do you provide, or Larry, the pink slip, for lack of a better word?
The what?
The pink slip or the separation, like where
Oh.
Jay's saying it has to be documented. Do you put that? I don't see that anywhere in this.
No, but that information is asked on the Labor Department's form. I think it's an AT 22 or 7, something like that. I can't remember, or 7. When you lay off an apprentice or the apprentice opts to move somewhere, but he's no longer under your program, you're required to file that back with the Department of Labor apprenticeship. And in it, it indicates the reasons why. Okay, similar to what was on the pink form, like you said.
Yeah, pink slip.
It's now a white form, but
Okay.
It was
yeah.
always a requirement, Melissa, whenever you separate from an apprentice and he's not under your umbrella or your apprenticeship anymore, your bona fide program, you always did have to send in a letter of
Okay.
separation to Todd. That was always in motion. This isn't new.
Okay.
It's just
All
something
right,
that
that's good.
the contractor needs to follow up on. And if they don't want to be held to bringing back the original person that they let go, they're going to have to be honest on the separation letter with, at this point, moving forward, if they're a utilizer of apprentice ratio, they'll have to be, truthful in their separation letter.
Okay.
And
The next question.
And
I have
Melissa,
is-
hold on. I just want to jump in on 1 second. Sorry to cut you off. On that,
problem.
one of the things that on that particular like your last question, when the application's received, the sponsor or the company that's applying is going to be notified of the board meeting date that this is going to be reviewed. And it's recommended that they send somebody. So this way here, when the board's trying to substantiate the good cause request, they could ask that question. And that's, again, if a question like that comes up, you could ask that question. Why were they terminated? Why didn't you attempt to call back? And you can request the documentation if it's for some reason needed that you want to review such. It's just,
Okay.
my only recommendation would be just staying consistent that if the questions are asked, that's why that transcript was developed, that the questions asked of each company. I'm sorry to cut you
Okay.
off. You had another question.
No, that's fine. My other question is the number 8. You said they only need to apply for this if they're in ratio, it doesn't matter. So they could apply up to 8, but so you're saying those 8 will not affect the company's ratio? They still have to be on the job within ratio, right? I'm confused by
Correct.
that number and the ratio on site.
If
I think she
a
needs a
company
number breakdown,
has
Joan.
8 licensees, up to 8 licensees, I mean, they could have 20 licensees, but if they only want 8 apprentices, right? So obviously, this would be a situation that the company can't comply with the hiring ratio as it's stated, right? So the hiring ratio currently is 3 to 3. If you want that 4th apprentice, they have to put 3 more licensees on, right? So now it's 6 to 4. Let's say we have a company that has 5 current licensees, and they just want to have an apprentice with each individual. They can make a request for 2 apprentices. So they currently have 3 registered apprentices. They're looking to add 2 more. The number is under 8. They would apply. They would attest to the fact that they have the number of licenses to support adding these 2 additional people on, and they will be approved. If their total number was greater than 8, it would not be something that would be reviewed by the department. It would go to the board to be reviewed.
Okay.
Just for
Okay.
clarity on that.
So it's just to give employers some flexibility.
Correct.
If I could kind of summarize it to the previous ratio, previous system to the new system. Previous system, you could get, if you had 3 licenses, you could get 3 apprentices. Very simple. Okay. Matter of fact, it was almost too simple. What's changed is now that number 3 has changed to number 8. It's gonna be 8. Okay. But you still have to go look back now to make sure there's no violations. Okay, with DCO.
Yeah, I
DCP.
agree. Yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
Okay. And then
Thank-
you kick into the section 2 that we're talking about today. We want more than 8. So.
So you could get more than 8. You just have to go to the board.
Oh yeah.
Correct.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Kimberly,
Yes. So on the Excel spreadsheet and on the script, it talks about apprentices, registered apprentices, but there's nothing to write their registration number or double check that they are actually registered. So how are we making sure that these apprentices are actually registered?
That's a great question. I mean, it's
That's
at
a
the end
great
of the
point,
day,
Kim.
yeah. At the end of the day, unless it's changed, I believe the registration number is not like a credential number like we issue. So again, for us to look, we would have to look at the Department of Labor's records. It's really a self-attestation. So, I mean, one thing that we could do, just kind of hearing what you're asking, is we could request copies of the card, so the card could be reviewed. You could see that it's issued to the company that's looking for.
I'd like to see something like that because according to my understanding, when these apprentices are on the job, when they start, they're supposed to have that card. And that card has a number on it saying you're a registered apprentice. So the contractors are making requests for registered apprentices, and they could have unregistered kids, and kids think that they're a second year, third year apprentice, and they're actually unregistered completely. So if we're going to be taking the time to collect all of these numbers on licenses for the registered journeyman, and you're asking for kids' names, it just makes sense to me to say, okay, give me their registered number as well, because then you can check and make sure, because you'll find probably that they're actually not registered at all.
Kimberly, that's a good idea. I think, and that could be easily resolved with some help from Rochelle, like just adding another column to this form, right
And
after
to the script as well.
Yeah. Right where it says right after the name of apprentice to get their registration number.
Right.
And then the script is something we can add, and everybody can add to that. Those are just some voluntary thoughts and things that we should try to ask that we didn't want to put on a document. It was more for the board's use, so to speak, not to forget about this or that. But I think your point is well taken. Mike, your point is very well taken.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rochelle.
So we can
Larry,
change.
Larry,
we can
real
change-
quick, I'm sorry to jump in, real quick, the pre-apprentice column, what's that about, the pre-apprentice column?
The pre-apprentice is currently, so pre-apprentices are only applicable to a student in the technical high school system.
Okay.
So what happens is they don't take up one full spot for
Right.
each student you send out. So
It's a half,
essentially, yeah. So if it's applicable to a company that maybe has pre-apprentices working for, because they have to attest to such because they're coming before the board. And the only other thing too, Kim, to your point that I would really add, if a company was found to provide false information, as quick as the board issues a ratio relief, they could withdraw that ratio relief. So it would have to be another board meeting, but that would be a disciplinary action now, because again, when they're submitting this documentation, they're attesting to what they have put forward is truthful. So if for some reason there is a flaw in what was provided, the ratio relief request can be therefore denied or modified because of such. Which, if you guys would like to see it, we could go into the and I'll have Larry talk about it, but the violation table, if you want to share that one, Rochelle. So
I developed this violation chart. I did it to be somewhat similar to the MOU chart that the DCP uses in issuing fines. And this is a subject. This is a recommendation, a suggestion. Just wanted to have some way that we couldn't be challenged by, well, how come you on plumbing board you had plumbers, you had this issue, and on the heating board you had this issue. It's the same issue, but the fine was worse here, or the fine was less there. Something that we could try to stay somewhat uniform amongst all the OC boards on. Okay. So, and again, this is subject to change, but we want to make sure, I want to make sure that we weren't really going to get challenged on any of this stuff. The other thing to remember is that in the law, the board's decision is final. That's it. There's no appeal process on this. So whatever the occupation board decides is the end result, that's what it is. So that's helpful, I think. I think the other thing we all have to remember is this is a new program, if you will, and every year we do have the opportunity to change some of the things that we have in here, and I think we will probably do this for first couple of years as we live and learn through some of the processes. We're going to come up with things just like Kimberly mentioned a minute ago. I mean, that was a good take. Sometimes when you're working on this stuff, you're just too close to it. You just don't see it right in front of you. So, and so that's good. That's good.
Thank you, Larry. Melissa, do you have another question before we go on to Aaron?
Yes, two questions. What's the turnaround time for the someone that doesn't need to come before the board? You're saying the state, you just submitted to the state. What's the approximate turnaround time to get back with an answer for the DCP?
Depending on what needs to be reviewed, it's almost it's usually about the same day. If they're testing to
great.
not having disciplinary action, they're testing to not having DOL issues, they're testing to having attempted to try to utilize the technical high school system. Those applications are reviewed internally, but essentially usually within the day.
Okay,
Now,
so
if there's a disciplinary issue, I just want to identify, even on the ask of underrate, those applications go before the board. So if they do a test of having such, it would go before the board.
Okay, my last question is then, what happens if someone wants to bring on a pre-apprentice as an electrician or a plumber who is 16 or 17 in high school, but not the technical high school? Is that, because I've hired 16-year-olds of my employees' kids, and again, not licensed right now, but it could happen. You could have an electrician whose son is not in the technical school, or daughter, maybe.
They would just have to register them as an apprentice.
So it
there
doesn't
is
matter
still
that they came from the technical school system. It could be any.
So the pre-apprentice specifically ties back to the technical high school system.
Yes.
But
yes.
and that's where just to kind of touch on that so you have a good understanding, the juniors and the seniors are never in shop at the same time. So what that does is you have an employer that's utilizing students from the technical high school system. It allows them to have a student with them throughout the entire school year. So during the junior cycle, they have that junior student. When that junior student goes back to academics and the seniors come down, that allows the senior student to kind of fill where the junior student just was. So you have essentially one body, it's just two different people. In the situation that you're talking about, they would just have to be registered with the Department of Labor as an apprentice. So it still gives them the availability to hire somebody. They just don't have that same pre-apprenticeship card because that's only applicable to the technical high school system.
Right.
I've had pre-apprentices. Is it because I'm not licensed? I've had pre-apprentices at 16 that have cards and registered as pre-apprentices. So that wouldn't apply to a licensed trade?
Were they from the tech school or were they from elsewhere?
No, they're employees' sons.
That I couldn't
And
speak
they're
upon.
registered with the DOL as pre-apprentices because they're 16. The parents come in and sign. We do the whole thing. I mean, it hasn't happened in 10 years. They've both been here for 10 years now, but I'm just saying, like, what if a kid isn't in the technical school system? Does that eliminate them from being a pre-apprentice with a license trade?
Yes, that I could say that's the way it was written to the best of my understanding.
Well, I think that should change because I think it should be anyone that goes through the DOL pre-apprentice process, technical school or otherwise.
That would be an apprenticeship change, though.
Right.
We're only acknowledging it on our form, but that's all run through the Office of Apprenticeship Training.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I'll talk to Todd about that. I'm curious. So, okay, that's it. Thanks.
And I know Aaron had his hand up before too, Mr. Chair.
I answered my own question.
Okay.
I figured it out. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great. We have Kimberly with a question.
Kimberly?
Just for clarification, so the board is not seeing these requests, they're reviewed by DCP?
There's section 2 of the law, which is the ask of over 8 has to go before the board. That's essentially
Okay.
what this policy we're discussing now is on. But for the ask of up to 8 apprentices, that review goes through a separate application process, very similar but separate. And they're asking for, again, that ask of up to 8, and as long as they have and attest to having the proper number of licensees to support the program they're looking to establish, then it is reviewed and approved at the departmental level. It's then flipped over to Department of Labor. The only thing that we're housing in this particular case here is the application ask and the approval process based upon having hit section 1 criteria as outlined within the act. So as long as they're attesting to section 1 and everything is answered appropriately, yes, they're approved at the departmental level for up to 8. The responsibility is then reverted back to the Department of Labor. So those apprenticeship reps are still ensuring the fact that these licensees are employees of the company, that these bodies are being registered, etc. So it's not that it's hands off. It's just it goes back to the Department of Labor after that.
Okay, understood. So there's no sort of loophole that a company could kind of trick the system with. So just imagine they apply for 5 and they get approved and they meet all the requirements. And then they apply for 5 again. So now they've reached 10. So at that point, triggering 10, which is above 8, that's when it would come before the board. If they've proven that they're employing the first 5 and now want an additional 5, then it would come to us.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, does any other board members have any questions for John or Larry? Having none, can someone make a motion to accept this statute and get a second?
I'll make the motion to accept.
Thank you, Jay. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Carl. Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I just want to say thank you very much to the board on this, and especially to Mr. Valeries for appearing today and also the amount of time he put in. I just want to acknowledge again the amount of time the board chair has put in behind the scenes to make this all happen and get this here. We had a February 1st of 2026 deadline to have a policy established, and happy to report out, as Larry mentioned before, the heating board, electrical board has approved the same policy that the plumbing board just put into place. And I thank the plumbing board for doing such, because it's very much so a board policy, but it reflects on the department as well. And it just, we have a very good working relationship. And I just want to thank everybody that was involved in this process. So thank you.
You're welcome, John.
We need to vote, though.
Yeah, we're in discussion now, Chip. So does anybody else, we have a motion in a second and we're in a discussion. Is there anything else anybody wants to discuss before we go to a vote? Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
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 Deny. Abstain. So moved. Thank you, everybody. Larry, thank you so much for the last year and a half of your time too on all this. This has been great, bringing it up to all the chairmans and the commissioners and the agency here. That was a lot of work on your end of it, and your electrical board. Thank you for everything.
Chuck, the only thing I would say is, thank you for acknowledging me, I guess. But it was really a joint effort of the industry. In many years that I've been on the board and been working with the industry, I can't recall where it was put together relatively quickly and unanimously and without any fighting, believe it or not, that, both sides just came together and we got it done. And so I extend my thank you to making it an easier process, doing something that that was needed And also something that leaves us the opportunity as boards every year to take it, make some adjustments to this if we need to. So, and as I said earlier, I think we will undoubtedly find some things that maybe aren't working as well as we hoped they would, or some other things we might have to add. So again, thank you for accepting the procedure as we submitted it. So thank you again for everybody on the plumbing board.
Thank you, Larry. Okay. Takes care of that. So I think we might go back now to, there was a, do we have Gregory DiMatteo with us today, Rochelle? Discuss a request for guidance today?
Yes, good morning, Commissioner. I'm here.
Oh, okay. So, Gregory, what can we do for you? Welcome to the board.
Guys, good morning. What I'm trying to do is, I have a Connecticut State G2 gas license, which I obtained in 2006. I called during the COVID era, and what I wanted to do is just take the second portion of my P2 that corresponds with both licenses. And I have all my paperwork here. I went to JM Wright Tech. I started off in 2000 with the companies. I was registered. All I want to do is see guys, please, just so I could advance myself. I had 4 opportunities, which I don't want to lose, to better myself and better my family. Kids in college, mortgage. I'm just like everybody else. I just want to go take my P2 at PSI. If you guys would permit me, I'm taking that place. And again, I can provide all information.
Okay, you've provided the information to this agency?
Correct, yes. I also went to JM Wright Tech. I got all my hours and everything. That this is so far back, guys. Some of the stuff was still paperwork. We didn't have the computers back then, so everything was a paper trail. But for the most part, I have everything for you guys. I'm also licensed. I've been paying my $150 every year for my G2. All I want to do is take the second portion of this test to get the P2, which they correspond, please.
I'm
Okay,
confused.
I'm missing the emails. Do we have emails that were sent out on this?
I sent you guys a plethora of emails. I'm sorry to be a pain in the ass.
No, I just asked a question. Does everybody on the board have a copy of emails for the agenda for this?
Yes, I read through them. John had
Yes.
some considerable back and forth with this gentleman, I believe.
Okay, can we put those emails up on the screen at all, perhaps?
Can I just ask you, I'm going to ask a question. So I understand, do you already have a P2?
No, here's the story, guys. So in 2000, when I went into the trades as an apprentice.
Oh, you have a G2. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The only reason why, guys, at this time I got the G2 is because I started at the gas company. This is the license they required. I already had the credits and everything to take the P2 portion. They just wanted the G2. My daughter was being born. I said, okay, I told my wife, once she's born, I'll go back and get this. 20 years later, life goes on, and I'm like, shit, I should have went. But I'm asking you guys for a favor, just so I can get this, just so I can move on, and in a couple of years, open my own company. And I need, please. And again, I can provide all information for you guys.
Right, but so you went to you went to tech school, so you got schooling through them, right, for your P2?
Right. Yeah, I also have the guidance.
You don't have any time registered as an apprentice as a P2, correct? That's what you're lacking.
No. I started out Ralph P. Russo Plumbing in 2000. I was there for 4 years. I was a plumber my whole career.
Well, you're registered, though. That's what I'm asking you.
Yes,
You have registered
correct.
time.
Yes. Yes, I do. And unfortunately, I was calling to Satan, and in the computer system, for you guys, the computer system is not up to date. And there was a discrepancy. They're like saying, well, you're not registered, blah, blah, blah. I have all the paperwork in front of you guys. I sent you guys so much paperwork. And again, I'm 50 years old. I've been doing this for 20 some odd years.
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, I just want to jump in because this individual is here for guidance today. I just want to clarify what guidance means for the board quickly. So he does have an application that he did submit. His application is currently incomplete because he has not to date provided an apprenticeship completion certificate. He has not provided a comparative analysis substantiating completion of the education. There's been no documentation to make the application complete. Therefore, it has not gone to the application review working group. It needs to go through that application review working group process prior to, if the decision was a recommendation for denial, it would then go before the board. And he's only here for guidance today, reviewing the emails to see which way he goes, because like he's stating at the moment, the Department of Labor has no record of him having ever been in a P2 apprenticeship. So that is part of the issue here because he can't substantiate a apprenticeship. Therefore, his application can't go forward to the application working group because it remains incomplete. And I just want to stress that because there's an opportunity that this might be, if it ever makes it to a complete application, an application that comes before the board. So we don't want to discuss too much on the application side, just the guidance. And Rashawn, if you could share the other emails that were there as well.
Hey guys,
I just touch on this one here in 20. I'm sorry, Greg. Could you go back up for 1 second, Rochelle? This is just a very important topic as it came up. You'll see in November 12th, 2025, when I went back and I researched this, I told Greg the same information in March of 2023. This is nothing new to the applicant here. Since March of 2023, he was informed that he has a G2. And that's really the only thing that he's been able to substantiate. I will jump off now.
Hey guys, let me just intervene. As I was working, when I started off in the trades in 2000, I was working, I did all my hours, and at night I was going to Wright Tech. I have the guidance counselor from JM Wright Tech who signed off. She has all my certificates, all my hours that I completed. You guys asked for a W-2 form. Unfortunately, my wife, she's an accountant. She kept all this, even got a W-2 form from back then. All my certificates from JM Wright Tech, all the checkoffs courses that I had to take. Again, I was going as a plumber by trade. That's what I was doing.
So
And the opportunity came up
you have to give all the supporting document that they're requiring. So if you have it,
I did.
In your application process, submit that information. He's saying that they don't have any record, or you have not provided the information necessary to do this. So if you have it,
there was a guy, John, that I was speaking to, and then there was another lady. I have her on my phone over here, which I numerous times tried to reach out to her, and I sent her everything. I don't know what else more to send you guys. I mean, like, do you guys want my blood? Because everything's right in front of me right now. I can send you guys an email again. Even JM Wright Tech said, what is the problem? Why is the state of Connecticut giving you such a hard time when you have everything? And I have her name and everything where you guys can call her up as a contact.
I don't think we want to call her. I think just follow the process and upload the documents that are required, and it'll come in front of the application review board. And if you provide the appropriate documentation, you'll be approved.
Again, I did this. I do. Let me go back on the email. There was a lady that I was speaking to too. She was supposed to.
Listen, we're here. We were instructed. We're here for guidance, not for approval. So the guidance would be to go back to the application process, upload the appropriate documents that show you have schooling, you have OJT, and you'll be approved. If it said W-2s, I mean, you can go back to Social Security and get a record of where you've worked for your entire life. That'll tell you where you're going to get the information of.
I got more emails back and forth with John. Everything he asked me to do, I have in front of me. I sent everybody to talk to. I have all the doc. I don't know what else more do you guys want from me. I even went on that application. I submitted everything to you guys. I'm telling you, the last thing I want to do is life at 50 years old. All I want to do is take my PT so I could progress. And it's like I'm being handcuffed.
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, if I can ask one question. Greg,
Please.
have you supplied to the Department of Consumer Protection a document
have.
from the Department of Labor? I didn't even get to the document yet, sir, with all due respect. A document from the Department of Labor, Office of Apprenticeship Training, stating the fact that you have completed a P2 apprenticeship.
Okay, again, guys, I submitted all paperwork to you guys. In 2000, I was registered by a Frank Russo. In 2006, I was re-registered again. I have the information here from a Sal LaBarba. How do you guys
Greg,
think I
Greg, with all due respect, I got to stop you. We are not the Department of Labor. We're the Department of Consumer Protection. We need the document from the Department of Labor. To date, it has not been forwarded by you. We need to have that completion certificate in order to acknowledge the completion of your apprenticeship. I leave it at that.
Okay, can I ask you guys a favor since you guys are on the board and everything? Do you guys have a number so I can reach out to them today? Please, because I went online, I did everything you guys asked. And I'm missing opportunities and a lot of money over here. Something that was so easy that, again, I've been doing this 20 years.
We can't make personal phone calls outside of the board
So
to do this.
I can make a phone call. I just say, give me the information of who do I need to speak to, who's in charge, their number, so I can say, listen, I just talked to you guys. Here's the information they want, so I can get this done, please. That's all I'm asking, guys, please.
John, can we do this? Can we send him a list of every documentation that he needs to provide? Can we just have Karen and I'm sure it's already been done, and I guarantee it's already been done. But is there a chance that we can give him a checklist from 1 to 10 of the documentation he needs to provide to the DCP to move forward?
Yes, it's been supplied previously, but I will have Karen resend that information again.
Can she resend that? And then, and then the next time he comes in front of the board, we can have that in front of us and he could check off what he has provided and what he has not provided.
Correct.
All right.
So
I say that's how we move forward. I make the motion. That's how we move forward. An email sent providing,
Second that motion.
noting all documentation needed. He will come back if he doesn't get approved, and we will go through the checklist, whether he provided the proper information or not.
So do you know what the guys is?
We have a motion on the floor and we have a second by Aaron Nakbar. Is there any further discussion by this board? Having none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Deny? Abstain? So moved. So you'll be getting a copy of a request that you're going to have to provide so you can get that to our next board meeting.
I appreciate it. You guys know when the next board meeting is, please? And I'll leave you guys alone.
Stand by.
March.
April.
Oh my
If
God.
you get all the proper documentation, it'll go in front of the application review board prior to the meeting. So my recommendation to you is get all the proper, get the checklist that you're gonna get, put all your
Yep.
paperwork together, get it in, and
Yep.
you'll get in front of the application review board prior to the next meeting. So that
All
would
right.
be, that would be the quickest way to go about doing it.
I appreciate that, guys.
The next meeting is April 23rd.
Right, but if he does what I'm telling him, he won't have to wait till April 23rd.
Yeah.
He'll
Right,
his
yeah, I just wanted
application will
to
become in
put the
front of the
date out
review
there.
board.
He can get that
All right,
done this
perfect,
week.
guys. I appreciate that. Thank you for working with me. All right, let me get on top of this, guys. You have a great day, and I appreciate your help, everyone.
Okay. I think we had a discussion about the approved glycol for geothermal. Is there anybody here today, Rochelle, in reference to the continued discussion of a glycol mix?
No, I don't have anyone else on the
Okay.
call.
They haven't come back. I know this has been in front of us for over a year now.
I think they gave up, Chuck.
Yeah. All right, so do we want to do a quick summary of our trip Tuesday to Yale, so everybody has an idea of what kind of time we had down there? We didn't.
Mr. Chair, can I jump in for 1 second? I had one piece on there for new business on the Rhode Island license.
Oh. Yeah, let's go to that.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
So I recently went to Rhode Island and met with essentially my equivalent on the mechanical side. And during that meeting, and that was for equivalency on the mechanical licenses. During that meeting was introduced to the individual that handles plumbing. They have different individuals that handle the different occupational licenses there. And gas piping had come up. And gas piping is not a component of the Rhode Island plumbing license. This board previously had looked at the Rhode Island licenses and had viewed them as equivalent. And what ends up happening through the MOU that was done in 2017, the applications come in, they put forth a Rhode Island license, for example, and it goes to the application review working group, and those licenses have been approved previously. It's not to say that they're not getting experience in the piping materials. The piping materials are the same piping materials, same joining methods. So they're getting the on-the-job training. It's the educational side. I do view this as something that there is a lot of equivalency within the Rhode Island license. I had reached out to the technical high school system. The technical high school system had identified 3 courses that are a component of a P2's curriculum in Connecticut to substantiate the gas component that allows a plumber in Connecticut to engage in gas work. So I was asking the board to hopefully find some equivalency within the Rhode Island license for the on-the-job training and to give a pathway for the individual's license in Rhode Island. If we were to have a license in good standing from Rhode Island, coupled with the completion of the 3 courses outlined within the agenda, that they could still be approved for Connecticut licensure. And I'm happy to answer any questions on that one.
I think that's a great idea, John, because, you know, we've been doing the approval, you know, for reciprocity, but case in point, if somebody comes from another state far away, right, and we don't approve them, they could say, hey, Rhode Island doesn't have gas classes within their structure of their license. So yeah, the work, I would agree that they're, you know, the joining methods and all that's the same, but I think I agree with you. I think if they take the 3 classes for the gas at the state tech and the equivalency of the P2 in Rhode Island, then they could sit and take the test without an issue. That would be my opinion.
I agree with that too, Jay. Yeah.
All right. Very good. If you don't mind, if I could just ask for a motion for that one, Mr. Chair, then
Yeah, can I ask the board for a motion to approve the 3 classes for the equivalency to be able to take a Connecticut license from Rhode Island?
I can make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
I'd
you.
second it.
Great. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, very good. No denies and no abstentions? Okay, thank you. Okay, this would just do a little quick talk about the trip to Florida, the trip to Yale. It was a great trip the other day. We got to have a meeting with the team, the engineers, the civil people, the head of Yale down there, the head of the, his name is David Valeries. He was not in our meeting today. Gave us an overview of what we were going into, provided us PPE. We went in, reviewed the boreholes and the drilling operations. No drilling was occurring at the time. Just basically to see what they had to contend with down there that nobody saw coming, you know, with the water coming out of the wells and settlements of this solution, and then going through filtrations and systems, and then carbons, and where the soils were going to leave and where the waters were going to be brought into a combined system in the city of New Haven that went through a treatment plant. Then an incredible time. I want to thank the board members that did attend. It was well worth it. Learned a lot. Aaron had some great questions there as well regarding the well. Jay did too, in regards to the piping and the welding that goes on and what kind of welding took place and the type of steel pipe they were using. Is there anybody else that wants to share anything, what their thoughts were, what they got out of Tuesday's meeting down there?
I just gotta say, it was informative. It was great. I appreciated going. You know, I got a relationship with those guys down at Yale, and it was good to get a better understanding of where they're at and stuff. Unfortunately, I have to jump off. I have to get on to another meeting at 11 o'clock. So, that's it for me, guys. But, you guys carry on and discuss the Yale trip, but thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Jake.
Oh, terrible picture. Ah,
Look at Aaron over there finger pointing already.
somebody's gotta.
Yep, looks good. So there's John, Chip, myself, no, Joe, myself, Chip, one of the engineers from Turner Construction, Jay, the lead at Turner Construction with the white hat on, and then Aaron. So those were a few of the other engineers that were there. The hydrologist for the engineering firm, there were two of them as well with us in that group. They were not in the picture with David Vowers, the head guy, with Dave Course, the attorney that we just met. So you can see what kind of meeting it had to be. They spent a half a day with us, and there was preparation for us before that meeting. They spent some time to really answer all our questions and have quite a slide, bunch of slides for us, which we did, I believe, John, we had requested to get in case board members wanted to see any of that.
Yes. I haven't received it from Dave yet,
Okay,
but I will get that over as soon as I do.
great, thank you. Does anybody have any questions about that trip we can share with the board members that could not be present? Okay, good. Not having any. I think this concludes our meeting today. Unless somebody has something new under new business, I think we can call it at 10:53.
There was
Hey.
another, I apologize, there was another correspondence, somebody had reached out asking for reciprocity with Iowa. I can share that email as well.
Yeah, I did read through it.
And it is just correspondence for today, so it's kind of just passing it along to you guys to determine how you want to move forward with it. If you want to just provide an answer or have it reviewed, that's up to you guys, but.
Rochelle, you said this just came in today?
Yes.
I received it, I think I received it a day or two ago. It was forwarded to the board's email, so I just added it on here for today.
The name doesn't ring a bell. I mean, the board can review, but I would probably respond back that he should probably be advised to look at our website to review the requirements, because there is a pathway for them to substantiate equivalent out-of-state licensures.
Good point, John. Yep.
Yeah, it came from the OCPRO email, so I had just kind of assumed that it had passed through your desk as well. So, yeah, that's why it's here today.
Depends who's triaging that email. That one.
Yeah.
I just took it as added to the agenda, so just let me know how you want me to move forward with that. Or
Yeah, I think John answered that pretty well.
So if you want, Rochelle, Mr. Chair, if you're okay with it, if you don't mind, you could just forward that email to myself and I'll get a response back to him.
sounds good.
Great. Great. Does anybody else have anything to say? We're all good. Everybody stay well. The flu's going around. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves and be healthy, okay? And Thank you very much for attending today. Appreciate it. It was a busy day. Got a lot done.
Thank you.
Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.
I know.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.